Our next reader is no stranger to me. He was a co-editor of the Eildon Tree for about 10 years, wasn't you, Tom? So, I've never really had a chance to thank him for all the work he's done for the Eildon Tree over the years. Can we give him an applause? He recently became reader in residence at SPC, and I saw a picture of you recently, Tom, as Doctor Who. He's just come in his TARDIS. He hasn't got his dicky on, but he's also writing fellow to Tyne & S writers based across Midlothian and East Lothian. He's also, as I've just said, a former editor of the Eildon Tree. Please give it up for Mr. Tom Money.
Thank you, Julian, and thanks for the editors of the Eildon Tree for inviting me along here to read. As Julian was saying, I was co-editor of the Eildon Tree for a good number of years, about 11 and a half years if I can remember right, and it was my privilege to work alongside a number of editors in that time, including the initial editor like Tom Bryant, who kind of started the magazine, Jules Horn, Stuart Kelly, like Julian, Carol Norris. I haven't got a chance to work with Iona and Sarah, but it's absolutely fantastic. The magazine is still going strong and is even stronger, I think, going stronger over the years, and it's definitely because of the contributions, and I think actually the hard work of the editors, all the editors involved, and the current editors to keep that going and give that commitment to like a local literary magazine. So I'd like to read a short story just now called Soulmates from all those years ago, and it's from issue 2 of the kind of Eildon Tree, so that shows you it's an oldie, maybe not a goodie, but we'll see anyway. But Soulmates. Michael. He thought he was scared, but he wasn't. His screams and screeches were all part of it, but he didn't know. They tried to comfort him, they tried to calm him down, but he didn't know. He wanted to lie in his own bed in the darkness of the night and stare up at the skylight, at the shifting stars, at the moon shimmering and vibrating across the window. He wanted to stare and feel his skin tingle at the shadows of the trees whipped by the wind. He wanted his ears to ache with the creak and rattle of the window frame. He wanted his eyes to stretch to dancing, ghoulish, stretching, finger-shaped shapes. He wanted, but they didn't know. And one windy, wild day, he jumped off the always bouncing, moving school bus and ran the uphill country mile to his cottage in the wilderness, threw his flapping school bag in a heap of a corner in the hall. With his mother's shout of "Door, Michael!" whizzing over his head, he leaped and scrambled up the wooden creaking stairs to his bedroom, his smile growing with every creak and groan of the stairs of the house, and into the bedroom he clattered, and his eyes smiling upwards. But he didn't know, and Michael's smile died. For parents, they'd blocked off the skylight, and now only the dull, square, ordinary window in the side wall with a view to the hills, the beautifully dull, dreary hills. They didn't know. Martha. They thought she was strange, but she wasn't. Her silent, moving lips were all part of it. But he didn't know. They tried to get her to speak normally, communicate, but he didn't know. She moved silent lips to whisper wondrous thoughts, to fill her mind's eye, to fly off tall buildings with her arms for wings, to walk the tightrope without a net, to climb the mountain without a rope, to feel her skin tingle with the sight of the hard ground below. She wanted to feel her muscles tense and stretch, and her lips dry and her eyes knit with the cold sweat. She wanted, but they didn't know, and wrapped her tight in the safety of their home, bought her ready-made toys, bought her ready-made friends, filled her silence with their chatter, screeched and ran when she sat atop the highest tree in their garden, arms outstretched, face smiling upwards, mouthing her own silent words. But they didn't know, so parents, they took an axe to the tree, and now only the dull square flat of the garden. For they didn't know, and Martha's smile died. Martha and Michael. There must be a God, a keeper of strange and ill-fitting souls, for the day came that out of the east came Michael, no longer a boy, a man now in his 30s, with a threadbare shirt tight over rounded shoulders, with ill-fitting jeans and trainers, and no socks, and looking like all the world as if the monk-like balding circle on the top of his head had been cut to measure. For out of the west came Martha, no longer a girl, a woman now in her mid-30s, with a threadbare shirt tight over drooping shoulders, with ill-fitting slacks and sandals with no socks, and looking like all the world as if the bun that held her hair tight against the back of her head had been baked and left to harden long time since. Michael and Martha smiled, for they knew. For now, after the sun, the rain had come, hard and whipped up, and the trees swung in wild circles as they walked fast up and along the rim of the hill towards each other, to their place, to the cairn that sat solid at the edge of the slope, that ran down between the sharpest of rocks to the flat safety of the valley below. They shivered as their skin tingled as they reached the cairn and spoke together, then laughed. Then Michael said, "Martha." She nodded. "Michael," he nodded. They turned to face the edge of the slope. They stood, then reached, and his left hand took her right hand took his left, and they knew, and tilted forward into the slope, felt the gravity push at them, and they were away and running, eyes wide, breath caught and held, blood pumping legs to dodge the jagged rocks, to hold tight against the slipping, grassy, moving ground. And his screams and screeches and her smiling face held up were all part of it, and they shuddered and tumbled to a rolling stop against the flat safety of the valley, and they choked with the laughter and rolled into each other and smiled at the rips and the ill-fitting. A voice above them, "Are you okay?" And a dog galloped down the hill towards them, and the voice screeched, "Here, boy, come away from them," for the voice didn't know. Thank you.